All right, welcome back, everyone. We have our second presentation of this morning with Lorenzo Luvano from City of San Elizario, and I will turn it over to him.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for giving the time to present about our project. I'm from the city of San Elizario, and my department is San Elizario Urban Agriculture. Uh, at the beginning of the cohort, we were a team of four, but pretty much right now I'm just the only one. And I believe the last workshops we're dealing with people and people change jobs and whatnot, so that's why it's right now only me. But that didn't stop the project from actually also stopping. So let me get started. So of course we live in a desert, Saneli. It's part of El Paso County, and we sit on the Chihuahuan Desert. So right now with this project, our idea is how can we use the water that we get and tailor solutions that not only community residents in San Eli can use, but also, for example, residents in El Paso County or even across the border into Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, Chihuahua. And these are some of the questions that whenever I do systems or create a new project and event, like keep these questions in mind. How can we capture the rain? How can we use the rain? How can we grow? What can we grow with the rain? And how can we grow it? Since especially this summer has been brutal for a lot of beginning farmers. They might get discouraged because it's been super hot, no rain, but it's just keeping people motivated uh, to keep collecting rain. Our proposal to the Peregrine Accelerator program was to develop and implement a water bank. Similar works, the concept similar to the solar panels. So whenever people install solar panels at home, they can sell back the excess electricity back to the electric companies. The idea of the water bank is pretty much the same. People can harvest the rain, then they can trade it to different farmers, organizations, nonprofits. For the idea at the beginning was to trade it for money. Since I live in a community of low resources, that trade term can be maybe the person that is trading water with, they have chickens, so they can trade eggs, they can trade knowledge, they can trade produce. So that's the way of harvesting rain and making this really community involved water bank rain harvesting program. Of course, this is I got from the Peregrine Accelerator website. This is us at Paso and Juarez. So my work, while like I mentioned, I'm focused on San Eli, but I want for the work I'm doing to be implemented across our region. I believe our region is comprises of 2.5 million people. So if the work I'm doing impacts even a handful of those individuals, that's a win for a region. Similar to solar panels, at the beginning, solar panels were not really popular, but one neighbor installed the solar panels. Then the next week, it seemed that the next neighbor wanted solar panels and like that. So I'm hoping that rain harvesting is going to grow the same way. It's going to be like a popcorn effect. Once people see that the neighbors rain harvesting, they might be interested in also jumping on this movement. So through the cohort, we have learned that for us, it's more than just harvesting rain, and it's more than just a drop of water. We're trying to create a new relationship with water, uh, because some people might see rain as a negative thing with flooding, with mosquitoes, but when we want to give that opportunity to our residents, community members, to be part of the what we call the green economy. Now, on the next slides, I will explain a little bit more on what the green economy consists for us. So the movement we're doing, it's like I mentioned, giving people that chance of being part of the green economy. They can be part via ecological means, culturally or economically. For the ecological side of the Venn diagram, people can use the rainwater or the rain bank to install greener native landscapes here in El Paso in Tanelli. I know here in El Paso, people just like to install turf or just lay a lot of rocks, which increases the heat island effect. But if through the program we educate people about the benefits of installing mesquites, palo verdes, greener desert landscapes, and that can be beneficial not only to the ecology, but also for the community to beautify our communities. And this is one example. So, like I mentioned, we live in a desert. We only receive like 8.5 inches of rain, but where we do get rain, everything gets flooded. Uh, as you can see, the Arsanelli is a historic district. Most of the buildings are adobe buildings. So one way that we're trying to also benefit by collecting rain is to prevent the water to pond around the historic buildings. That way, we preserve those buildings for the longer run. Um, this is a park where I have a demonstration garden. Like this is an old picture, maybe 2 years. But every time it rains, it floods. So what I want to do with the everyone being able to be a part of the ecology is to transform these areas into rain gardens. That way, people can see actual demonstrations that we can move rainwater and prevent flooding at a much more cheaper rate than adding expensive infrastructure. And also last week, I saw a news article from Los Angeles Times that pretty much since Hurricane Hillary came through California, a lot of that rain was lost. So on that news story said that they didn't have the infrastructures to collect the rainwater, so most of the water was lost to the sea. But imagine if they had that infrastructure, those systems to actually collect that water and keep it local. So that's what I'm trying to do. Also, besides rain harvesting, keeping the water local. We can either harvest rain in bigger tanks, plastic tanks, or we can harvest rain within the soil and making rain gardens out of the rain. So one of the partners that I've been talking with, and this is I've been trying working on this our relationship for a while now. It's a local landscaper named Casey Munoz. She reached out to me that she was interested in working with rain gardens and to show people in the community that there's with even the small rain we get, a lot can be done. So what she wants to do with if we do partner up with her, she wants to introduce desert landscaping and not only like planting the trees and the plants, but also teaching like public works, parents, kids, yeah, and being a community project to teach people about landscaping. That way, like I mentioned, we can reduce the heat lightning effect. We can make the city beautiful with the other benefits of also reintroducing the wildlife in an urban setting. The next part of the Venn diagram is the economical part, which is where I talked about trading the rainwater to farmers, to nonprofits, that maybe people are not interested in growing a garden, or they're not interested in planting some trees, but they're interested in harvesting rain and trading it back to the neighbors. That's also one part of how the community can be part of this movement. This is another example on a partnership, a part connection that it be working. I want to say for about a year now. So Floreo, it's an aquaponics company that I had the first connection with them like a year ago. I talked to them about rain harvesting and the work I'm doing in Tanelli, and they were excited. Fast forwarded to today. Right now, they're still looking for a 150-acre farm. The farm is going to be situated along the Mission Valley. So the Mission Valley is a 9-mile stretch from connects through missions. San Elias number 3. So if they find the land 152nd within the Mission Valley, they're going to establish their aquaponics facility within our reach. They also have on plan. They have a 1 million gallon underground tank. This is where I talked to them about rain harvesting. So they like the idea, so they are willing to buy the water back from the community. They can clean it, purify it, store it under 1 million gallon under one underground tank. And if the community wants to use that water, they can use that water as a means of collecting all the water. Then also Floreo is working with a vocational college, local vocational college, to create a class curriculum to introduce sustainable agriculture into the local school districts. And since I'm a part of the board member of the San Elizario Independent School District, I introduced them uh, to the school district in hopes of also introducing that curriculum into the local district. Then, of course, the last uh, Venn diagram circle, it's using the rainwater or the water bank to grow their own gardens, flower, chickens. Because I know here in San Eli and in El Paso, there's a lot of chickens, a lot of animals. Because people they like to not only for the benefits of like the eggs, but also like for therapeutic sessions and whatnot. So back in the day, a lot of people used to tell me, and I do remember, back in the day, chiles was grown, corn, pumpkins, squashes, but now it only seems that it's cotton and pecans. And even that, the cotton, I went to a meeting a couple months ago, and now the cotton is being sacrificed over the pecans because the water issue. So what we're trying to do is not only not taking away the water from the river, which we don't see water in the river, but finding different ways with how we can get access to that water, and that way it's going to be through rain harvesting. Through the series of workshops I do in the community, people they are interested, and some people are growing the fruits and vegetables, but they want that help, that extra step to continue growing the fruits and vegetables. Right now I'm working with two nonprofits here in San Eli, Ayuda and Familias, which I host. They give me the space to host the workshops. Uh, Another aspect that I like to do on those workshops is I like to give them actual plants. That way they can connect the whole process. And like for instance, the cilantro plants, I give them that December. And on that workshop, people were happy. They were even talking about, oh, I'm gonna make some tacos with the cilantro, and they were all happy. So I'm kind of pushing that knowledge so that people keep motivated. And also, what I introduced this summer was to actually cook a dish with a harvest. So this was a Mexican squash. So there was the harvest. So I want to also learn from people and teach people that there's a lot of ways we can use the harvest from the community. And of course, also I partner with a local museum, history museum, and this is some of the rain barrels that I connect with. I open an art competition every summer with the high school students, and they design an art. They paint our barrels, and those barrels are on display at the local museum. Going back to the local nonprofit, Ayuda will be our first rainwater bank in San Eli. They are also working with Floreo because we need a rain harvesting army. It's hard for me just to be the one, but by me connecting Ayuda and Floreo, we can start expanding this little by little. Ayuda already has a garden on the back. They want to turn that operation to a patches to farm operation. That way they can distribute the harvest at their local food drives. And also, I connected them to another local nonprofit, National Immigrant Farming Initiative, which helps places like Ayuda or homeowners build actual gardens at the home. Uh, for this, since Ayuda lacks a farmer manager, if it's been able to help step up on that aspect for Ayuda. Currently, I have 6 homes harvesting rain. Uh, I wanted to have more, but there's always logistics, especially with like Coca-Cola, sometimes there's enough barrels for me to pick up. Sometimes there's months without barrels, but that's a good relationship also I built with Coca-Cola. They know that I need barrels, so they store them for me once they get enough. I can pick them up. And right now I have three demonstration gardens, one at the actual museum, Los Portales Museum. And like I mentioned, I have the upcoming water bank at Ayuda. Then this is part of a longer process, a longer project. Last year we applied for a USDA Partners in Conservation to establish a rain harvesting program in Sanelli. This is going to be in a couple of weeks. The second year starts of the grant, so it's 2 more years of the grant before the grant finishes. But what we decided to apply for, it's on the objectives are to define rain harvesting in Sanelli. There's different examples that doesn't really match with the desert, so I'm trying to find what does rain harvesting look in Sanelli. Besides, well, once I get that objective or that information, how can we expand the storage? And how can we include more pilots across Sanelli and hopefully in the region? And finally, and this is objective three occurs through the 3 years. What are some barriers that I see or the people see when it comes to rain harvesting? Some of the barriers that I from even from this year was that, for example, we didn't even have a good monsoon season. We only had like, even though the monsoon season stretches up to September 30th, I've seen the weather station that it's pretty much, I think it's going to be pretty much done for our region. And we only got two rain events. Right now, we've been 100, we've been 63 days plus with 100 degrees plus, and I think that trend still continues for 2 more weeks. So it's hard for people to get motivated to go or garden. Even with me that I have more experience, sometimes I do get frustrated, but it's just part of the adapting and learning. And especially since we live in a desert, how can we learn from our mistakes? That way, next season we know how to improve our gardens. Then, of course, also in El Paso, it's not really common for, especially on the older homes, to have gutters uh, or the bigger water tanks. So what I want to do is find a way to maybe like create an incentives for people if they wanna actually are dedicated to rain harvesting. Create an incentive for them to get gutters or the bigger tanks. Because I do rain harvesting at home also, but I've seen that I don't have gutters. But if I had gutters, the amount of rain that can be harvested pretty much doubles with and without the gutters. So that's also one of the big barriers that people are seeing, that they don't know how it's gonna work, but it works better at the reduced levels. And also a lot of other communities, they don't know. They know they want to start rain harvesting or growing fruits and vegetables, but they might not have the knowledge or the funds to get started. And some people, they do get discouraged along the way. It's also going back to the beginning. It's I'm working with people, and it's understandable that not a lot of people will have that motivation to see the progress from seed to harvest. But it's just keeping people educated, having workshops, and keeping that building those relationships with the community and organizations. Then, in order to reduce some of the barriers, these are some other activities. I can mention I do a lot of trainings, one-on-one trainings, class trainings. That way, to keep to show people that there's a community around rain harvesting. That will people feel part of something. And little by little, it's gonna take some time, but little by little, they're gonna see their harvest. I also have demonstration gardens where I teach people, and people can see that even though it's hot and we might not get rain, or the rain cycle may be off, uh, you can still grow fruits and vegetables. So just giving that picture to people, it's always motivating for them. We also have meetings and food action roundtables. That way, I can share that information to people outside of Sanelli. And of course, I think for me right now, the most important thing, because I'm a team of one, is providing referrals to other organizations like I did with Ayuda, Floreo, Coca-Cola, the school district. That way, it's not only me, but little by little, we're building that community, building those connections. So for the long run, there's already a foundation where people can take advantage of rain harvesting or growing their fruits and vegetables. Now, of course, uh, we do advocacy and policy influence. For example, hopefully creating incentives to rain gardens, homeowners installing rain gardens or installing gutters. That way, little by little, it's about building the community. And I think that's the best way to get this movement started, working with the community, uh, showing the community, and educating the community. Then, like, I think I've covered some of the topics, but what I want to do expand and deliver more rain barrels to our community. Have a system to install gutters. Some of the ranchers might need bigger water tanks, 500 gallons. Right now, I'm just working with the 55-gallon barrels from Coca-Cola. But if I really see some of the families are really interested, it would be nice for them to get an actual or bigger tank, maybe 100 dozen gallon tank. That way they can expand their farm, creating avenues for producers to sell the harvest or their value-added goods. I was thinking with the city administrator, maybe starting a local farmers market in Sanelli. We do have farmers market in El Paso, but they're not actual farmers market. They're more like an actual arts and crafts. So we create an actual farmers market. I think that would be get attention and get more people introduced into uh, rain harvesting and growing their own fruits and vegetables. Creating more outreach programs for the community. Right now, only have like a one big event, which is it's happening today and Friday. But I wish more I could do more events to reach out to more communities. And also, of course, starting up with that with Casey Munoz to start installing desert landscaping rain gardens to reduce flooding and to make the cities, our communities, our homes greener. Then, of course, helping homeowners, businesses start their own gardens, farms. They don't have to be acres upon acres. Maybe they just have half an acre or even less. Any space that they can add a raised bed that can be for us that's considered a farm, a garden. Then the idea also in the long run is to buy trees and plants to the trees across the community to help and and partnering up with the landscaping to show them what kind of trees, what kind of plants can be planted in the desert without having to use a lot of water. Because a lot of people they do, like for instance, a couple months ago, uh, you can. Someone asked me, can I plant like a mango tree or a macada tree or a pineapple? And I said it's gonna be hard to actually do this stuff, but why not use something that can be grown in El Paso in the desert? So that's also the learning curve. I plan on teaching people. Of course, with rainwater, how can we do it? Then the main goal is to expand rain harvesting, not only in Sanelli, but El Paso County and across the border. Then this is a little quote from the um, rain harvesting book. I follow Brain Lancaster. I actually went to his house, so he showed me all the systems that has been have it done in Tucson. So that's what I'm trying to hopefully get started here in El Paso, but of course dedicated to El Paso. So let me read it. I love the rain. I love to drink it, sing in it, dance in it, bathe in it, garden with it. Of course, that's only natural. Our bodies are more than 70% water. You and I and everyone else are walking, talking rain. It infuses into our water. It, If it infuses water into a spring, rivers, and aquifer, it cools us down, greens the land, nourishes the plants, and feeds us. It cleans the air, washes salts from the soil, and makes the animals sing. So that's pretty much when I was reading the book, that quote pretty much connected with me and the work I'm trying to do here in San Eli. This is some of the pictures that I've collected throughout the months, the years working as a rain harvesting for the city of San Eli. And that's my last slide.
Thank you so much, Lorenzo. We can go ahead and take down your slide deck and turn it over to our evaluators to see if they have any questions.
Well, I can start because I actually have to jump off in 10 minutes for a quick second. But one of my questions is, are there other municipalities or cities that have implemented this type of rainwater harvesting, water banking that you're aware of, especially in arid or semi-arid regions that you're engaged with in terms of sharing learning or good practices? Just curious to know what kinds of models you've looked at or you're thinking about that help inform how you're defining both what you want to do and the scale of your work and what success looks like.
So the closest example that I like to reference is Tucson, which is like a 4-hour drive, because pretty much El Paso is far west Texas, so it's a big difference between East Texas and West Texas. So my go-to it's what Brad Lancaster is doing in Tucson, and seeing what I can replicate from those systems. I actually went to the watershed management group like in March, and I got certified in rain harvesting. So with the idea of bringing that work into El Paso, because from my knowledge, I don't think no one around El Paso is doing rain harvesting right now, and even the city getting that grant from the USDA made a lot of news because USDA pretty much didn't acknowledge the work that we're trying to do with agriculture.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
We've got Sitlali, then Faye, then Ernesto.
Thanks. Hi, Lorenzo.
Good morning.
This is really neat, really cool project. I just have questions, I guess, a little bit about what community, what is the composition of the city of San, was it Elizardo? So like, if you could just go a little bit into that, what are sort of the main issues, that kind of thing, a little bit of background on, what are the demographics, income, et cetera, of the people that you're proposing to work with. Thank you.
So the city, it's a fairly small new city. I think the actual city it's around 9,000 people. So I'm serving that demographic, and we're pretty much Mexican American and in the community. And a lot of immigrants do pass through San Eli. Some decide to stay, but some decide to go to like the bigger cities. But what we appreciate that those that immigrants that do decide to stay, they have that knowledge that they bring from their countries of origin. So that's also another type of resources that I'm trying to tap into to learn from them. San Elizario, like it's mentioned, sits on the border. I actually can see the border fence for my house. It's like a 2-minute walk from my house to the border fence. So we have those connections. Our region, for outsiders, they see the border wall, but our region we don't actually, even though there's a wall, we don't see that connection because we can travel across the border fairly easy. And since we have family on both sides, it's pretty much like a one large area which we can connect. But San Eli is a very historic district. I think it was founded 1598. Back in the day, it was mentioned that the first Thanksgiving was here in San Elizario. So it's a lot of history, a lot of farming industry. There's records that for the past 7,000 years, San Elizario has been growing something. agriculture wise. So that's history, and that's what I'm trying to bring back to the community uh, with the connection of making water, rainwater connection to rain harvesting. That will bring back that culture, that history back uh, to our communities.
Hi, Lorenzo. Thanks for that
Good morning.
presentation. I love the just how integrated you're thinking about outreach and engagement with your local community. I feel like that's so important, especially for a project like this. I have a couple questions on kind of scale and just how you're planning to sort of continue to expand this out from the great progress that you've made in the initial first year or so. So it seems like in your presentation, you said one of the challenges was kind of helping to change the narrative around water and rain and what that means in your community. What are some of the ways that that you're working to kind of help change the conversation around water in your community?
So right now, like the biggest thing that we're like fighting against is that I know like the water district right now they're concrete. They put in concrete on everything. So that's all. But since we're like a small team of a small movement, further we need to educate the people and get that learning curve. That way, like I mentioned, start creating a rain harvesting army. Because we have right now the water district stayed on Silla because it's a competition. But as I know, if we keep expanding, they're gonna start seeing us as a competition, where we don't want to compete with the water district. We're just trying to find different sources of water where we can use. Because I know another fact that I mentioned that I forgot to mention is the pasture region. It's cotton and farmers and picking farmers, but I think only 11 families control the water supplies of the whole region. The 2.5 million people, only 11 families control the water supply. So if they need more water, the water districts they give the water to those farmers. So what I'm trying to do is giving the small homeowners a chance of starting their own gardens. That's the biggest thing, and of course, it's gonna take some time, a lot of education, a lot of planting the seeds literally and figuratively. That way, some seeds might die, but next season we can harvest more. We can plant more seeds and keep that momentum going until we have that voice, or we can go to meetings, to board meetings at the local water districts to show that what we're trying to do it's not a competition, but it's working together for the better of Paso region.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ernesto, I think we've got time for one more question.
Yes. Hola, Lorenzo. Thanks for a great presentation. Two things. Tell me a little bit about if there's already like a culture of these gardens within the community. If it's something that's going to sort of be supported and expanded, but it's already there, or if you're starting from a very sort of basic baseline and need to promote the activities. And also, although you touched it somewhat, if you have, what's the potential, or if you have a network of other similar cities within the region that could eventually benefit from replicating this?
So right now in Sanelli, what I like about Sanelli is that the average home lot is a half an acre, so people have the space to grow their fruits and vegetables. There have been some demonstration garden, community gardens come and go, but it's because there's some other barriers. People have jobs, they don't have the time to dedicate maybe a lot of time to the community garden. But what I'm working with the city administrator is to create a sponsored community garden in which if they don't have the tools or the space, they can go to that space and create a and grow from our community garden within the city. That way, they can maybe they stay at that location and take back that information back home. But also that's where I'm working with Ayuda, since they already have a community garden established. I want to use them as another partner to show people what it can be done, a garden at the backyard. Then when it comes to different community cities around El Paso, I think it's right now pretty much all the water is getting we're getting it from the aquifers. So if more communities are connected to rain harvesting, that reduces our need from pumping the water out of aquifers, and little by little also rain harvesting and controlling where the water goes instead of rushing it to nowhere land. We can plant that water into our soils, recharging our aquifers and bring it back. Another opportunity for people to have something to do, create a business, a farm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are at time. So thank you so much, Lorenzo, for your presentation. Feel free to hop on the Vimeo stream if you want to watch anybody else's presentation today, but we will go into another 15-minute break, and then up next we'll have Chama Peak Land Alliance.
Thank you so much.